This video is sponsored by Full Moon Features. If you or someone you know loves horror collectibles, be sure to check out Full Moon's Tiny Terrors, the perfect gift this holiday season. For more information, click the link below, or stick around till the end of this video.
Ho, ho, ho.
Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and Merry Christmas. Yes, we are back here with another review for December to Dismember. Yes, we kicked everything off with our review of Gremlins, and we have a little bit of a fun promo video coming to you guys here very shortly. But yes, we are taking a stop back over to the SCREAMBOX side of things. Yes, the folks over there have a wonderfully festive film dropping on their streaming service here on Tuesday, and we got the opportunity to check it out, and we are here to talk about Santastein. And you know, this was one, it's Luke, you are our holiday horror aficionado. I say it every chance I can, and this is one that crossed your I guess your peripheral vision when you were scrolling on the social medias, and you said, yes, we need to make sure that we can get our hands on this. And yeah, so I'll let you kind of take it away. How did you kind of come across this, and what were your thoughts just leaning into that concept? Because I know that was a huge selling point for you.
Yeah, well, this one, I believe there was an article written about this one, and just off the bat, where it's labeled Santastein, I think us being steeped in the horror community, you can kind of know what that entails just by seeing the title. And you know, it holds true. I think with that, looking at the concept, reading farther into it, I thought it was really fun. It really does lean into the wackiness of holiday horror. And honestly, that's one of my criteria is if you're going to do a holiday horror, I think, don't take yourself too seriously. I think, make use of the tropes, make use of the setting. And of course, you got to have Santa Claus in there somewhere. So this one was really hitting all the points from a conceptual standpoint. So to be honest, I was really excited to check this one out.
Yeah, no, when you had sent me the article, I was definitely intrigued by it. I love, the Frankenstein kind of setting. I think there's a lot of stuff you can play with that. Obviously, it shouted a lot of inspiration from not only that story, but also, I think I said it to you off air, I got some big Reanimator vibes from this. And, we talk about those, and I think that that's pretty unfair comparison, considering those are two all-time classics, and this is a very low budget film. But again, that's what we like about the folks over at SCREAMBOX and stuff, is they take risks, and they are able to give these independent filmmakers a platform. And I gotta say, to open this up, as kind of out of all of the holiday horror we've watched this year, this was one of the better ones for me. This was definitely one of those ones where I sat down, and although not everything worked, in my opinion, I think that there's definitely some stuff that I rolled my eyes at. There was enough fun to be had here, and enough done with the concept, even though I wish there was a little bit more they pushed it, that I was able to sit there and say by the end of it, this was quick. I enjoyed this. And yeah, I don't have a lot of really negative things to say about Santastein. I think that this is one of those holiday horrors that is probably going to be worth a watch as we dive into it.
And, as we hopped into it, I think this one starts off really fun. They really do make use of the concept. There's a little narrative exposition over the radio, which kind of starts laying the groundwork and the explanation of, what's been going on and what the world looks like now that, Santa hasn't been around. And it really kind of, like you said, those Reanimator vibes really gets you into it, I think, because you start reminiscing about that stuff. And it really does start off in a really fun spot. Did it hold my attention throughout? I got to say, not 100%. I think, my attention jumped so high, and I was really excited for this one just from a conceptual standpoint in the way that it does start off. I think, this is one where I would have loved to see a little extra cash behind it. I know that's asking for a lot when we're talking for these small budgeted films, but the concept here is so strong. I really wish they would have been able to expand a little more on it and kind of put a little more care into it. Not that I think that this one does show a lot of love because, it's a DIY project. And I do think they expanded to the best of their ability. I think it does leave a little more to be desired for me. But in the lineup of a lot of the holiday horror we've just recently been consuming, I got to say this is definitely in the upper tier of the things that we have seen recently.
Yeah, I mean, like, this was just one of those, again, the concept in and of itself is really fun. It's really strong. This does really scream like an 80s style holiday horror film where it's like, yeah, we accidentally kill Santa Claus as kids and we're bringing him back to life. Like that's just, there's endless possibilities with that. And you're right. I think like if they would have had a little bit more money behind it and they would have been able to kind of, dive into their own process a little bit more and a little bit more of like what they could have gone with this, the ideas they could have expanded upon. I think that this really could have landed as an ace. I think this could have been one of those ones that would be a lot of fun to rewatch year after year. Like we talk about Christmas Bloody Christmas from last year. You brought that up off air as like a good kind of meeting of the minds there, where it's like that's a really fun 80s infused style modern Santa slasher film. And I don't think this one really gets there, but it's like the intent is there and there is still a lot to really enjoy. Like I think that again, that first act is really strong. The whole setup, I love seeing the backstory and how that all happens. I loved watching them resurrect Santa Claus was a good bit of fun. Again, I talk about the DIY nature of just like them literally building their own lab and having everything handwritten and all that. Like you can find these little nuances in there where it's just like, yeah, they would have to kind of make their own shit when they're talking about building this kind of equipment and everything. And I appreciated that. I thought that that was fun. It really kept the film very light for me. It made it more of a, an easy sit back watch as opposed to something that's really trying to impress me. It's like they understood where they sat as far as a budget, as far as where they could go, and they really leaned into that. And I think that that's really the biggest takeaway I have from this is that like there is a lot of potential here. It's like if you really let these guys, I could easily see this movie being one of those ones that like gets remade later on down the road as these filmmakers go, and they're able to maybe even just like put in new ideas, maybe take this almost as like a slight reboot to it and really continue the story, because I think there's a lot of fun to be had here.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, one of my criteria is not taking yourself too seriously when you're diving into some holiday horror. And I think, this film does hit that mark. I think, does all the comedy work? No. Some of it, from a language perspective, I think maybe some things could have been reworked and doesn't necessarily work for a modern audience nowadays. Some of the jokes are, don't really hit either. But I think, again, as we go over the general concept, I think there's a lot of fun stuff here. They make use of that holiday horror where, not diving into spoilers, but there are some deaths here that really do revolve around, the holidays and things, which is one of the things I think you definitely do need because we've seen so many holiday horror films that don't really make use of that. It's just kind of, slashers and they're getting killed, not really using Christmas lights or anything like that. And, to see that on screen, I think was really well done. It brought a smile to my face. I would have loved to see those scenes expand upon a little more gore, maybe would have been fun. But it really does come down to budgeting. Like you're saying, seeing this baby maybe remade down the line, I could easily see the proof of concept for me is already there. It's something that just needs to be expanded upon. I would love to see a Santastein 2.
Mhm.
If this became like an exclusive content to Screambox or something, and they're like, in a few years we're gonna do Santastein 2, put a little money behind it, maybe a bigger design for Santa Claus, if something like that, diving a little deeper into, the reanimation aspect of it. I think there's a lot of potential here. I would definitely be on board for a sequel or a reimagining of this. I think, again, the concept is so strong. You write some stronger characters, a little more in-depth backstories, maybe, and, up that body count. I think you'd have a really a big winner here in the holiday horror space.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the potential is just too good. It's just one of those things where it's like you really shouldn't just let this go. I think that this is definitely right on the cusp of being something that, a lot of audiences could jump on. And I think horror audiences will enjoy this one. I think that the Screambox audience, that we've found ourselves entranced with, I think that they're going to have a lot of fun with this movie. Because it's like, it's certainly, it was something that, again, I had a smile on my face for a good majority of it. And, there was definitely, again, like I said, you kind of hit the nail on the head there with a lot of the choices for characters and the dialogue being just really one note and not very inventive. It seemed like there were moments where it's like, yeah, we really need to, do the tropey kind of like high school bullies and popular versus unpopular thing. We need to kind of pad that out a little bit, and it's like that's the stuff that I feel like really bogged down the film, as opposed to when we got to the science aspect of it and we got to our two main characters as they're kind of going through this zany little process of bringing Santa Claus back to the dead or putting his brain into a body. I will say there's a whole like opening segment here where it comes to uh I guess without spoiling it, it involves a corpse and a place, and it's like I loved all that. I thought that was a really fun way to kick off the film. I think that there's a lot of good ideas like that nestled throughout this entire project. So for me, I'm right on board with you, Luke. I think like if we could get another Santastein, really give these folks some more money to play with and give them a way to kind of expand their horizons a bit, I really think we could have a fun, like you said, holiday slasher series on our hands here. This could be something that we get excited for year after year. And it's like I'm not saying these have to be, like how Terrifier went from $250,000 to 2 million. Like you don't have to do that. Like it doesn't need that much money. But like if you put a little more than what they had already, I think you could really start to open it up. And then again, like you said, focus more in on that. Like I'd love to see other Christmas characters get brought into this. Like maybe have something to do with Santa's reindeer a little bit more into this next one and all that stuff. Like give us more stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of gas left in the tank, so to speak, for Santastein. I would be intrigued to see if they are going to open this up and do something else, because when you're dealing in those supernatural elements like that, nothing's off the table. So for this one, I am definitely excited to see what the future holds for people to see it. I think it's going to be worth a watch. Like Dylan says, if you're not subscribed to SCREAMBOX, what are you doing? So I think definitely this is going to be something that's to get you in the holiday spirit, so to speak. I think it'll be a fun watch again, and it is really quick. I think it's not even an hour and a half, so it's
Yeah, it's
something
really
where
short.
you're in and you're out, and it doesn't drag. It's one of those things where I think it starts off on a high point, and it really does keep going throughout, even if some of the characters and scenes don't necessarily hit. It is something where if something doesn't hit for you, you're immediately in the next scene, so you're not lingering on it too much. But for this one, I think I will go for, probably it does teeter for me, but I will say I'll go recommend on this one.
Very surprising, very surprising. But I will also go with a lower side recommend. This almost gets to proceed with caution again, just because we do have that padding, and there are a couple of characters that it's just like they make some choices where it's just hard to really sit there and be entertained by those people. But again, I think that it does offer a lot in the vein of potential. So it's the Christmas season. Maybe we're feeling a bit more generous, but I don't know. Again, we've seen a lot of holiday horror already this year, and this is one of those ones that actually kind of worked for us. So, it definitely deserves a little bit of praise. So, alrighty, but I guess that's going to wrap it up here for us. So let us know, guys. Are you going to check out Santastein this Tuesday? Is this going to be one that you're going to watch at some point during the week leading up into Christmas? We're getting a lot closer. And are you going to come back to the channel and keep celebrating December to Dismember with us? Because, of course, we have a lot of great reviews. We just had our Gremlins review drop day before yesterday. Sorry, I'm all mixed up on the calendar. But that was a lot of fun to do. And then, of course, we also have a few more reviews coming up to you guys, some classic films, and as well as one big present to get to you guys probably right on Christmas Eve, if not before. So, alrighty, other than that, guys, it's been a lot of fun. We hope that you enjoy this. So until next time, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, Merry Christmas.